Hi everyone, this is Rose Shaw. I'm a graduate of Color of Women 2019 and an artist and an intentional creativity teacher, and I'm here to share with you a way to recreate your light. It is an introduction to an affirmation card lesson using intentional creativity and accessing our own internal mindsets of the critic and the muse. The goal is to help you release some of the negative mindset that we've been carrying around during this time with all the events going on and being kind of cloistered. We've had a lot of negativity creep in. We do have that happen when you have a lot of downtime and alone time to yourself. And it helps to balance that out through painting and through a little bit of art sometimes. So I'm offering this for you to just enjoy and to share. And this is my little soulful story deck. It's one of the first little affirmation card decks that I made, and I was lucky enough to share a workshop doing this at Kula Yoga a while back. I made a deck of about 16 cards. They all have a message on the front and then an affirmation on the back. And we're going to try to do that today. I'm going to show you a very easy way to get started making these. If you need to pause or stop the video in between, you're welcome to do that. I have not done Facebook Live often. I don't have really much experience with it, but I'm hoping it'll work out and that you'll be able to try this. You need a little watercolor paper and a piece of scrap paper to do your rough draft on, a little bit of paint and a water cup. I like to have a ball of red thread because I always start an intentional creativity lesson starts with a little red thread circle. It is a symbol for connection and support and protection and blessing. So we'll be doing that right now. And usually we talk a little bit about the legends of the red thread. They're found throughout all different cultures in the world. One of them is that it is a thread from the hem of the great lady's garment, symbolizing Mother Nature and how we're all connected. Or, the umbilical cord, that we're all connected, we're all human. We all have a gift to bring. And one of my favorite ones is the one from Japan that says that you're connected by a red thread from your birth to the people that you're supposed to meet in your life, and the thread may tangle and stretch but never break. So I'm glad to be meeting with you online, or if you're friends, it's great to have you here too. And one of the things usually that you do, I'm extending the thread to you, and ask you to please consider something that you want to release right now or something that you want to claim. And for today, because there's been a lot of fear lately, I'm going to release a fear. So I'm choosing to wrap the thread, and I'm going to release the fear that I've had bugging me for a while that had to do with just being brave enough to go online on Facebook. I've been worrying about doing it wrong or having something not work right or forgetting something. There's a lot of information that goes with these lessons, and I know that I probably won't think of everything, but I'm just releasing this fear and going all in, and I'm being in service for you to renew my own creative practice and to hopefully bring you some really good feelings that can arise from making something with intention for ourselves or for others. And I'm hoping that when you make your own deck, maybe you will share some with others, and it will bring you a little bit of light and happiness. If you're interested in working with decks or cards, sometimes you pull a card for a health or a strength. And the one that I pulled this morning was Light Source, and the back says, I have supportive friends who will share and appreciate my light. Well, you can't make this stuff up, so this really was the perfect card for today, since we are trying to share our own light and rekindle our own light. With that, I open the circle. If we were together, you could tie my thread and I would tie your thread, but I hope you will add in comments what you are releasing today, and I'll be sure to answer all the comments later. If you need help with anything in rewriting some of your cards or your affirmations and you want to send in for advice on that, I'll be happy to respond, but I can't do it while we're in session because It's just me filming. I don't have an assistant, so I can't really respond to you at this time, but I will later. Follow along at your own pace. If you need to stop, it's perfectly okay. The first thing we're going to do is to write our drafts. And the rough drafts that go for these story cards have to do with taking a look at your negative voice. The stories that we tell ourselves can really hold us back, and yet they can show us where we are not using our light also. They can show us where we've become asleep, or when we're just, stopping our creative part from moving forward by warning us. And that negative critical side, our left brain side, is there for protection. But sometimes, the mind just continues thinking, and it's not always telling the truth. So you have to ask sometimes whether these things are true. And if you think about it a little bit, sometimes you can also ask if the opposite can be true. And that's where the affirmations are going to come from. So before we get going, on a few of my cards, when I was looking into it, I was telling myself, for instance, on my wisdom card, the negative vibe that came from that was, I'm too old for this. I'm too old to start sharing lessons with adults. And it turned into wisdom because age comes with, you get extra knowledge, you get extra experience. Some of the knowledge that I have might help other people. And so that's where my affirmation was flipped and changed into the gift I give will empower others. So just for a little practice, we're going to call on some of those vibes and write them out. I invite you to take your practice paper, fold it in half, maybe 2 times or 3 times if you want to make 8 cards. We won't have enough time to make all 8 today, but you'll see the process for it, and hopefully you'll take the time to do some of your own later. And you're going to write down what comes to mind or what has been coming to mind that's either holding you back or making you a little bit fearful. So you can do this with just a pencil. Again, this is just your rough draft. I'm going to write just a few to get started, and I hope you'll take a moment and just write a few for yourself. One of the ones that comes to mind right away is that I'm missing my friends and family, and I can't see them, can't see my loved ones. And maybe another negative one, again, was this fear that I had of just getting started. So I'm going to remind myself of that. If you think, how many times have you heard that mean girl voice show up in your mind that just says you're not good enough, you're, somebody else can do this better than you, you don't know enough about art to be sharing it online, or worse, sometimes things will come to mind that say, you're just too much, maybe you should just quiet down for a while and learn how to go sit in the background. Well, those are the kind of things that you need to take a look at and hopefully put down on a piece of paper so that you can translate them into something positive. So I'm going to let this settle for a bit, and I'm putting down, I'm not technologically adept to be able to use this platform. And you can make as many as you want. I'm going to just stick with a couple for the sake of directions. And, again, I'm not even sure how long Facebook Live allows you to stay on. But the next part is the painting part. And the painting part is really important because that's the part you're going to let your muse relax and just enjoy those beautiful washes of color and really treat yourself into just spending some time enjoying the sensuality, really, of watching the paint blur and blend together. So before you get started, another thing that we do often in intentional creativity class, I'm going to tilt this way so you can see my paper, is to bless your paper. And you bless your paper by spraying it down with a little bit of water. Sometimes I use holy water in my water bottle. Sometimes I just use a little bit of sea water, a few drops of ocean water, or a few drops of rainwater. And I'm just going to push that around on my paper. And I'm going to ask for guidance to make these beautiful cards, and ask for a blessing to just enjoy this time, to renew and to refresh. And then I'm going to choose 3 colors. I like this teal color. I'm going to choose 3 colors that are very kind of light, bright colors, but they could be colors that are symbolic to you. If you wanted to pick 3 colors that mean or symbolize the past, the present, and the future, that might be a cool idea to try. And you want to stay away from colors that are too dark, because again, you're going to be writing on the fronts of these cards, so you do want to be able to see the letters later on. So once you get your 3 colors down, I'm going to stand so I can work on this a bit. You're going to take your brush, dunk it in there in your water, and I'm going to pick up my lightest colors first, and I'm just going to start to paint nice long strokes. Just let some of that paint get on that beautiful paper. Our theme was recreate your light, so it might be a good start to use a light, nice bright color like that. But you can really start with any color you like, and I'm not going to worry about how it's going down. I just want to get some color on. If you need a little extra water, you can always dip, hit your edges. Doesn't matter really if you go up and down or back and forth. I'm going to put a little bit of this beautiful bright magenta pink in here. I love this color. It's one of my favorites. And maybe you could think about your chakras too. Sometimes people are very interested in how they're feeling internally and with your vitality spiritually. Maybe you need a certain color to really feel good. Once you do that, tip your paper up and let some of it blend and drip, or turn it to the side or upside down, and just watch it and enjoy it. Let the colors flood and float, and drench your muse, that is your beautiful creative side, in this gorgeous flood of color. I like to take a smaller brush too, and with the smaller brush pick up a little color and just lay the brush kind of sideways and pull and drag it in kind of a calligraphic sort of a way to get some other little shapes or lines going on there. They may remind you of mountainsides, or I don't know, beautiful bits of flower petals, or whatever comes to mind is fine. You might make some little marks that look like little flower petals if you wish, or just drip. If you drip one color on top of another, see what happens when you try that. So I want to just make sure that everything is coated. Fill in. Again, tilt your page if you need to. Kind of helps things blur. Enjoy this part. And I suggested online too that if you wanted to try and add some salt to this, a few pinches of sea salt while the paper is still wet, if you're using nice watercolor paper, really gives the cards beautiful texture. And it's a random thing, but it also adds a nice element of texture to your design. So you might try that out. If you live in Florida, as many of us do, my dear friends, then you can just take this outside. It'll be dry in 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. It gets dry so fast. It's really amazing. So you don't want to overdo the salt, but there's mine that I'm going to lay here on my little rack. And again, take your time, enjoy the painting part, let it dry while you're thinking of what you're going to do about rewriting some of those affirmations. Now, naturally, because I'm limited on time, I went ahead and did one this morning, so I have one that's ready to go that we can tear. We're going to rip our cards so that we have that beautiful deckled edge. And before we go on to tearing the deck, you want to think about translating some of those old beliefs. Let me see where my paper went for the old beliefs. A couple of the ones that I had, one of them actually was, I don't know enough people to make this work. In other words, if I were to offer classes online or even locally, first of all, I don't really have a studio space. I have a very tiny bedroom here that's converted to a painting room, but that was one of the things that was bothering me. And then I translated that into thinking about it. And I actually do have a lot of friends that appreciate my gift. And friends have other friends. And so things can grow. And as it turns out, now we have Facebook. So, you know, the technology is opening up where we can really reach a lot more people. So what you do is you start to take a look at some of the ways that you can flip these around. You ask yourself, what is the antidote to that? Is it really true? And you have to try and be courageous. And being courageous is such a great word because the word cur for courageous comes from the heart. So you need to ask your heart what you know is true. Oftentimes, the things that you're saying are negative, are kind of extreme and not really true. And when you confront those negative, fearful thoughts, you kind of can realize that maybe they're not so real. One of the ones that I wrote was, I don't have a head for business, math, technology, etc. And to turn that around in a believable way, I can't just say, you know, I'm a technological genius. Naturally, I'm not going to believe in affirmation that's that extreme. But your brain is capable of working in new ways all the time. And I can train my brain. I can learn new things. And I can find what I need to know. I can look it up. I can learn it. I can ask others to teach me. I can take a class. And so the negative thought, I don't have a head for business, can certainly turn into I can find what I need to know. And after you flip your negative thought into an affirmation, you're then going to go a little deeper and look for just the main words that would be your main message. So the main message for that, I don't have a head for business, would be seeking knowledge. That is the key. That is what I need to do to go ahead and find that new way of learning. My other one that I thought of for today that I would share is, I'm missing everyone so much. I can't be with my friends. Well, I can't visit my friends right now, but I can send a hug. I can give them something to hold from me. And I thought of a little wing too. I can maybe add that as a little symbol on one of my cards, but I'm thinking of sending one of these to my sister who's far away and send her some light, send her some love and light. So whatever pattern I end up with on my card, I'm going to look at carefully before I write my affirmations on them and choose one that goes with the message. So this one that has these kind of wavy lines on it, and this one has kind of a little, almost an electrical barbed wire-y feeling. This reminds me of thinking that the brain is capable of working in new ways all the time. So that might be the one that I choose to do the decorations on for that. And we'll do the lettering in a minute, but I did want to share with you how to tear this to just get the idea of really working on it, and it's very cathartic actually to tear paper like this and to get that beautiful deckled edge. When you tear the paper, you want to really crease it in one direction, flip it, crease it in the opposite direction. Some people use a bone folder that's kind of like a plastic tool to rub down those creases. I like to put my fingers in water and just run a little bit of damp sharpness along that that fold so that the paper will weaken and tear nicely. You can also use, let me see, you could just take a paintbrush and really rub down very hard on the edge, and that'll give you the same kind of a heavy crease that the that using a bone folder will. And so I'm going to tear this, and I'm going to do the same to this half, and you're just going to keep tearing it in half until you get the size cards you want. Now, for my size paper, to get about 8 cards, I just tear it in half a couple of times, 2 or 3 times again, and I'm going to go ahead and rub that with a little bit of water. You can hit both sides, just damp and tear, so you get that nice handmade feeling. I think part of what we miss in life is making things by hand. That's one of the things that makes intentional creativity so relaxing and restorative, is by just doing something with your hands and being creative. You're using that part of your brain that you really need to nurture. And so here's how these are coming out. The part of the card that you painted, this side, is going to be the part that has the main message on it, and the back is going to be the part that you decorate and design to have the affirmation on. So again, you're going to flip and fold, flip and fold until you have all of your cards torn, and hopefully you'll have a nice variety to work with. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to have you watch me tear the whole set, but this is the set that's going with so far. And again, we had a few affirmations or a few of our negative thoughts that we were thinking about to get started with. I'm going to get a couple of Sharpies to go and add to this. And as I said, one of the ones that I was thinking of was that one where I was missing friends and family. I'm missing everyone so much I can't be with my friends. The affirmation that turned into or came from that was, "You are never far away from my heart." So I would choose one of these cards to use for that affirmation, and I rather like this one because it has this nice little blur of red here. It almost looks like a little floating heart in space. So I'm going to use this one for that. And the message or the main words that are coming through for that is sending love and light. So I'm going to go ahead and write the letters for that. Try and use your very best writing, or some really swirly writing, or maybe a silver or gold Sharpie if you wish. This card happens to be a little dark, so I'm going to have to use black for it, but really you have to go with what works for your own color choices. And it's going to say sending love and light. I like to also add either some little swirls or a frame of some type around the edge of the card. Here's a few good ones. This one, you can just block out the word using the corners. You could add swirls on the top and on the bottom. You could add some curvy lines. This one says seeking knowledge, so I used kind of like a lightning bolt. You can decorate and really spend some relaxing time with the lettering if you wish. But for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and outline the top and the bottom on the edges. And then on the back, I'm going to go ahead and, let me see. My message was, you are never far away from my heart. So I'm going to use a red or a pink to write that part. You. Here, can you see? You are never far away from my, and I think I'll just draw the heart. Now, once you get to this place, this is where you can think of other things that you might include, like a wing for You're Never Far Away from My Heart, because I'm going to mail that, so I'll probably put a wing on that one. You might want to edge the border with some more paint. This one, the phrase that came to mind was, I am open to explore how a space can be given. So you see I framed the words out in kind of a doorway, because I am open to explore. There's lots of ways that you can do it. This is a nice one for for this heart one. I could maybe shape the edges of the message as a heart. So that's a good way to finish it. You can really take some time to kind of think of some really good details, some spirals or frames or a symbol that you like that goes with it, and add those nice details onto your card. Make them as personal as you can. Take the time finishing them. You might trim them in gold. Sometimes it's fun to add some glitter. I know glitter's been kind of controversial lately. They say that it gathers in the water and it's not very good for waste. But if you're careful and you put glue down first and glue a little bit on there, I really don't think it's going anywhere. You're not throwing them away. So that's really a personal choice. If you feel like using it, you're certainly welcome to add some to it. There's also a beautiful way that you can make a box for this. This is one way you can make a box. And I have a template for this, and maybe I can share that on another live. I'll try and share it again, but the box you'll make to fit your own set of cards, and then you can decorate them as you wish. This is the box way with the flap. This way, there's also a nice, really, easy way. It's just a 3-fold way, and that's how I did my original deck. So I hope that you enjoyed taking a look at how this goes and how it gets started. If you wish or want a little help in rewriting some of your thoughts, you can always send me a message. My email is roseshaw1213@gmail.com if you want to just drop me a note. And my art webpage is roseshaw.com, roseshawart.com. So feel free to reach out to me and please comment on how things went. I hope that you've given this a little bit of a try and that you'll take some time for yourself later to recreate your light and to share some of these beautiful cards. Maybe post some pictures of them for me that I can see. Add some love and some color to them, and maybe think of sharing them with a nurse or a neighbor or a friend or a relative far away. You can mail them a card, and I hope that you will be a little bit renewed today after you take the time to use some creativity and some positive messages for yourself. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope it worked well, and I'll get back to you when I get a minute to read all your messages and send you nice sharing comments. Have a great rest of the day, and keep creating. Peace through painting. Bye now.